on the Gagootz Show. I'm just being excited. Welcome, Jack.
Hey.
How are you? Thank you
Jack
so much
Simmons,
for being
long
here.
time no see.
I've been watching the show from the side, as you know, and I have to say, so far it has been a very bubonic.
Bubonic.
If I use one word.
I'm gonna call you Benny Bubonic. Benny Bubonic.
Benny Bubonic. That sounds like
Benny
almost like,
Bubonic.
it makes me sound like a science fiction character.
Yeah.
Free buffet and comedy. Benny Bubonic. You won't want to miss the crazy now. Don't forget, ladies, on Monday night, it's Ladies Hot Dog Eating Contest. We always have a lot of fun there. Hey, I used to do this bit about those crazy radio shows. You're bringing this stuff back to me. That, like I said, a lot of stuff I didn't do was funny. It was just like throw it in their face, and people would laugh. And you know, they used to have the crazy announcers who would do the commercials for, oh, I don't know, Uncle Sam's or Hammerheads and stuff. This Friday night, Hammerheads, easy to get to Sunset Park, Sunset Park, exit 40, and you're there. It's that easy. You know, be sure to give that direction. Says, no way, you're driving home straight. Yes, over the guardrail, and you're there.
I saw you
balls.
back, I think the first time I saw you was like 1982, 83, at a place in Patchogue that doesn't exist anymore.
No,
And you were the headliner.
there you go.
And then you,
How bad could it have been?
and I think John Bazaar, who he became popular on the
Yeah, sure, he might
West
have been on the
Coast.
show.
I think he might have opened for you.
I know I
You
do
know-
have a review from The Good Times in Orphanage, and Lou DiMaggio was my opening act. Not saying it against Lou, because he actually got a better review than I did. He was the headliner, and then Steve O was the MC.
Steve
'Cause
O
he
was
like
the
the
house
house
MC.
Yeah.
Yeah, who we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got in there. That's how I got
Yeah.
into the. But that one time I paid. It was when you were there that time.
Yeah.
It was my birthday.
Let me give you that back,
Oh,
because
thanks.
I'm
yeah.
sorry about that. It wasn't
And you did like a question and answer thing at the end.
see
You
what I
like,
mean? I was
you
a
did
hack.
something at the end, but you did some funny because someone yelled out a guitar with 3 strings, and you said, "Did that belong to Django Reinhardt?" And Steve and
I
I were in
said
the
that?
back, and we were. Django Reinhardt was a guitarist that his hand was disfigured. He only had 2 fingers.
Wow.
So a 3-string guitar. He said, "Was that a Django Reinhardt?" And I remember Steve and I looked at each other because we both knew. A lot of people don't know who Django Reinhardt is. And we were like, "Yeah, that was." Loved it. And then you would get silly at the,
the
end.
fleet of mind when I was young. Unbelievable. Django Reinhardt.
Django
Who's
Reinhardt.
actually, you know, wasn't it? So he was brought back recently for something, wasn't it?
Maybe his music or
Was
they
it
made
Woody
a
Allen
movie.
movie or something? They used. Well,
Oh, Woody Allen. I believe that Woody
there's
Allen.
something where his name came up again, Django Reinhardt, where it just came up recently.
It should though, because the guy was a phenomenal guitarist.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Only 2 fingers. People think Jerry Garcia, but this guy, no, I'm telling you. Man, people in the background.
And he has
How was he in bed?
He was better than the guy Christy Brown, who only had use of his left foot. Gave his wife a toe job.
Oh man. Toe
Well,
jam.
his nickname was Django Reinhardt.
Jack, you still got it. I don't care what you. I think you say you weren't that funny then as you are now,
Not
but
when I listened to that. I'm appalled when I listen to this.
but
stuff.
that's what has kept you
Yeah.
still, because you were still a headliner and
Yeah.
you travel all over the country,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Not as much now anymore. The traveling had stopped a little bit when I came back from Los Angeles. I was traveling a lot in Los Angeles. I came back in here about 4 years ago with the proviso to take care of my mom, who was ill at the time, and my brother was there, and so I became a caregiver. And so I was stuck way the hell out, and I still am out in Southold, where anybody knows how far out that is. And so the trips and stuff became a lot more difficult because they have to add like 2 hours of traveling time and weather considerations and everything. But to answer your question, I've done a lot of traveling and I've enjoyed it, and it's been great. I mean, you end up in cities you would never go to, and other cities that you never thought you would go to.
It's exciting.
It was great.
To see all over the place.
Even the cruise ships. Yeah, the cruise ships I did. Cruise ships were tough. They would really. I found them very hard to do.
You did. Huh?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I did okay on them and stuff, but there are guys who have great shows and how to knock them out, and they're not necessarily cruise ship, corny, kitschy kind of shows. You have to know how to please the audience, really know how to please the audience, and you die by their
Yeah.
dictum. You could kill and then think you kill, and then maybe a couple of people didn't like your act, and it gets back to the cruise director. I know there's a couple guys who go out and do it all the time. I wish I could, but I get crazy. Most I ever did was like 2.5 months on a cruise ship that went all around Europe, and it was great, but I was going nuts because we had really no internet on the ship at the time. I'm talking about maybe 15 years ago. But you'd wake up and you're in, you take a bus and you're in Florence. Or you can go to Civitavecchia, you're in Rome. Or you can go to France. So I did some nice traveling, yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It was great. It is great, yeah.
There are, a friend of mine is right now, a couple of friends of mine. But you remember Carl Guerrera?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You remember Carl? That's what he's making his living on cruise
John
ships.
Joseph, I see him all the time.
Oh, yeah.
He's always traveling.
And Tim Hamioun, I don't know, he's a young guy
No, I don't know him.
from the island. Very funny. That's where he now has his niche. And I think Dan Wilson.
Dan Wilson too, right. I'm on John Joseph's, I guess his, whatever you call it, string or whatever they call that. So I see where he's traveling all the time. It's rough, man, because they would fly me in from Los Angeles into Athens. It would literally be like an 18-hour flight.
Wow.
And you would be on the next night on stage. And so it was about 4 o'clock in the morning in your head when you go on stage. And you have got to produce a really good show for that audience. And the audiences were tough. It was really...
And then you find, too, when you're in on a cruise ship and you're going through all of, like, Europe and whatnot, not everybody speaks English perfectly well either. Everybody's from so many different parts of the world that when you got these audience, they come and they sit down,
Absolutely.
they only understand a little bit or whatever, and now
Absolutely.
that cuts your audience in half. So
We had a cruise ship I was on where it was chartered by this whole British company. And when I went up to do comedy, I realized there were certain cultural differences. Even something like where I used to do a joke about, you're getting older when all the music you want is marked down to $1.99. I couldn't really say that to them because it didn't connect. It would be like somebody over here talking about the pound.
right.
So I remember like having to X things out all the way down and go, no, that's a little too, that's television, that's our
Something
thing.
so simple, it
Yeah.
could alter your whole set.
Yeah,
which is-
yeah.
But
it was great.
we mentioned earlier when we were in our opening segment about stock jokes, and there was something that you wanted to ask him that brought up some memories
Okay.
and some stories.
Right. When I first saw him, and I saw him for years, he did a joke, and then I saw other comics doing it. So I said, Jack Simmons wrote this joke because I saw you do it in 1982. It was if an airplane crashes, they're always looking for the black box. They always find the black box. Why don't they make the rest of the plane out of the stuff of the black box?
Brilliant joke, right?
Brilliant joke.
I didn't write it. Here's what happened. I was working at Escapes as an MC for the male burlesque shows.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was actually a boot camp for comedy. It was great because you go on stage there and you got to hold that attention of primarily a female audience for 15 to 18 minutes. And then you have to bring out, Paris, the king of Paris the Marine and his M16. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Wizard of Ooze and Oz. I make up these ridiculous introductions for them and everything. But anyway, there was this comic that hung out there who was an old vaudeville comic. His name was Bob Carr. He wasn't vaudeville, but he was playing the Catskills. And to me, he was a working comic. And for some reason, he took an interest in me. And we would talk about comedy. He'd say, you're going to do great, just stay on it. I'm going to connect you into Catskills. Because he wanted to go out with this girl that hung out in a group of people that I knew. He was much older than her. But that didn't stop him from hanging in. He would come in with a tux, and he looked like a guy from the vaudeville times, So he pulls me aside one time. He says, I got a great joke for you. I'm not using it anymore. You can use it. I said, what is it? He goes, when a plane crashes, and he tells me the black box joke. I go, that's great. Can I have it? He goes, it's yours. So I'm walking around, blah, blah, black box. And it's getting killing. It's killing. Of course, nothing in my act measures up even close to that. That's how you know when somebody stole it, because I have like one joke that's like, pizzazz! And the rest of it's down here. And I'm doing this joke a couple of months on Long Island, I guess. And one night I'm in Escapes, of all places, and I do the joke, and I go up to the bar to get paid. And the bartender says to me, funny joke about the black box. It was even funny when Carson did it last month. I said, Johnny Carson did that joke? He goes, yeah, you didn't know, right? You didn't steal it from him. I swear to God, I didn't steal it from him. I never saw Bob Carr again after that. He started dating this girl, and he kind of went off on his own. And so I stopped doing it because I thought, people, people, you didn't want to get labeled a thief. Everybody stole a little bit until they get on your feet, I think. Maybe you'd take a little piece of it, but not something as outright as a brilliant joke like that. And I had, until you told me at this moment, I didn't know that I was credited with it.
Yes, and I've told so many people that.
He really did.
I did. I told her.
No, I wrote this. Ladies, come on. Wow.
Because you used to tell it, and
that's
then
funny.
Sure I did.
then I was involved in comedy. Then when I wasn't involved for a long time, I got back, and I was running open mics, and these young guys were doing that joke, and they would do, and I was like, they stole Jack Simmons' black box joke. So this guy stole Carson's joke and gave it to you because you had no idea.
No idea.
That he's...
The bartender remembers it from the Carson show and told me, I guess what he told me, and it was probably, I'd been doing a joke for a couple months. And he just happened to, like, it was better what Carson did too, like that. And I was stunned, and I felt embarrassed, humiliated. I didn't realize it had traveled around like that.
But now we know about a stock joke. Somebody took Johnny Carson's joke, and so he did it, so either he wrote it or someone wrote it for him.
Sure.
And then...
Sure.
Many years later, comics use it. No one has a clue where it came from.
Yeah.
And usually a stock joke is for a heckler. Usually it's a put down, something quick that you can blast somebody with. I think Richard Belzer did a lot of them that became stock jokes. But it is interesting to try to figure out where they came from. And who knows that night when you go home that your act isn't one of those jokes has become stock, and you end up like somebody saying, I stole a joke. It's my joke.
Okay, one quick one. You were talking about the burlesque shows.
Yes.
I got involved in them because Steve O got involved. All you guys did.
Yeah.
So Steve got me in. When I did my first one, he called me on the phone. He says, all right, these are the jokes you're going to use. And he says, if somebody, when they stick $1 in a guy, you say, now I know what my mother meant by never put money in your mouth. You don't know where it's been. And then he told me, it's Peter Bale's joke, but we turned it into stock. Everybody's using it. No, because Peter Bales, who one day he may be on the show, he wrote some of the most clever jokes doing the
He's a great host.
burlesque.
I bet he did.
And so he wrote so at that time, all the guys took Bale's jokes and were using them if they were doing burlesque.
That's
and
it.
Figured, they were friends with Peter anyway.
You never use them in the clubs, but you use them in
you use them there. You only use them in the burlesque. But Steve O told me, don't worry, there's nothing, you're not stealing. It's Peter Bale's joke. He never uses it. Don't worry about it. And he gave me, because he said, because he told me, you're not going to write anything funnier than that.
Yeah.
And you weren't. To do male burlesque at your first time.
You're not going to write anything funnier than that.
And that was a funny, don't stick money in your mouth. You don't know where it's been.
And then at the end of the night, 400 women that were there didn't go home quoting your act.
No.
They went home talking about the male burlesque dancers and stuff. But that was a really good boot camp to try to get their attention and everything like that, But one time somebody stole a joke from me, and I heard it the next morning. I remember I was up in the Catskills working just a gruesome 5-day schedule for what it might have been Rosh Hashanah or something, going from club to club to club, from the Pines to the Nevele. It was miserable. There was nothing to do during the day. It was freezing cold. I mean, the movie theaters weren't open. It was up in Sullivan County, and it was just dreadfully gray every day, and you had these horrible hotels you stayed in. Anyway.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, it's the old circuit of the Catskill comics that was very fruitful for them when they worked there. I remember I was driving down this icy road in the middle of nowhere, and I hear Bernard McGurk from Imus say, I went to an Irish wake last night. You know, an Irish wake, $5 cover, 3-drink minimum. My joke. And that was my joke, and I heard him do it. He probably had stumbled into catch. Or maybe somebody heard it and said, hey, McGurk, here's a funny line. And you know the funny thing is, once the joke goes out like that, you're the thief.
Unless you tell people I wrote for them.
Yeah.
You could.
That's what sucks about this business.
That's what's,
you come up with something so creative, and then
somebody does it on TV, it's not yours.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break.
Cool.
And then we'll be back with more Jack Simmons and the lovely Nicole Monaco.
You're watching the Gagootz Show on
and me and my real hair.
.com.
Welcome back to the Gagootz Show. We're here with our guest, Jack Simmons.
I'm very glad I can make it.
I'm glad you can make it too. Yeah, it was touch and go there.
Let's mark this date as being the date that the South Fork, the North Fork, had what would have been like a mini tornado, and it was all blacked out for most of the whole day. In fact, I'm sure there's a lot of people that still don't have any electricity, air conditioning,
Yes.
food.
I was unaware of this entire thing.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
sleeping heavily and woke up, nothing was wrong. And I went to work.
Same with
nothing
me.
was wrong. I had no idea that
We
there
had a
was
little
even
rain.
storm.
He had, I saw it on the news, he had trees down,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
power lines.
I woke
Crazy.
up to the sound of thunder. How far off? I sat and wondered. I started. No, it really did. It was ferocious, ferocious. Everything was down. Electricity, everything out. There were
Wow.
people walking around, and they couldn't even text. And it was torture. What do we do? What do we do? And the line. The only place open was Dunkin' Donuts. They had a line way the hell out there. And I didn't know regular coffee was $5.99. I was surprised by that.
Price gouging?
A little gouging.
A little gouging.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk. What do you want to talk about? Political correctness?
Oh God, yeah, yeah. Well, I think that comics are, for the most part, the last truth tellers in America. Maybe playwrights too, but I think everybody else has been so incredibly affected by this PC crap, and I'm hoping it doesn't creep into stand-up where they start censoring comics. But
It started.
don't you see that on the horizon? And doesn't that scare the hell out of you? Because once that's done, we're over. I think once they control comedy, you know, like, oh, that's a politically insensitive joke. It's comedy, someone's gonna get hurt. Okay? That's what I used to say. It's
Yeah.
comedy, someone's gonna get hurt. Like, folks, somebody's gotta slip on a banana peel, and somebody's gotta watch him and laugh. Okay? He can't slip on a banana peel, somebody catches him and they both go off and they have dinner together. No. Somebody has to get hurt. If you can't do that, don't come into the comedy club. If you're gonna get offended.
We've talked about that because that is
I'm angry.
Jerry Seinfeld. It was
Yeah.
brought up that Jerry Seinfeld says it's hard to perform in universities now.
Of all people, Seinfeld, who talks about cotton and things and stuff like that. Most every other comic I know is much rougher than Seinfeld, much rougher. And he's complaining about it? Wow. I can understand Chris Rock saying, look, I can't say this, I can't say that. I don't understand that they tell him that. But when I heard Seinfeld say it, I was taken back. I went, I've with Jerry's act, I can't think of anything. Where would you be, you know, offended?
It's sad. It's really sad to see how people just like go from one extreme to another, and everything is like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are racist now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like today was on CNN. It was like having the air conditioning too high is sexist. What? What? This is really the news right now because
Yeah.
some guy wants to see a chick's nipples get a little hard? So
Yeah.
be it. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
take one for the team, lady. Like, come on. Get a padded bra. Like, shut the hell up. It just gets me so mad. Like, get a life.
That's it. We're nitpicking. We're looking for
Yeah.
things. People are looking for things to
Yeah, they
say,
are.
look
they
at
are.
that.
They
Yeah.
are. They are. Definitely. They definitely are.
And they're not worried, and then not putting their concerns where they should be, like polluting the planet, or
Well, this
Yeah.
whole thing with the lion that's going on too right now, everybody's saying like they're so upset about that, and nobody makes a big deal about the people of Zimbabwe. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, "Oh, you care about the lion?" Like
Yes.
that's a valid point right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, we're
starving
all-
people, and we're not.
And we're like, "Oh, okay. Oh, the lion's dead. Oh, like."
I
The
thought-
people, they're dying, no big deal. The Lion King, did you see
Yes.
that Disney movie? Everyone cried when the lion died.
I truly believe one of the reasons everybody was so upset is because that lion had a name.
Yeah.
If he didn't have a name, I don't think it would have been different. Somebody killed the lion. Ah, it's too bad. Cecil died. Cecil! Not Cecil! Where's Jericho? Anybody know what Jericho is? The brother lion. And that was reported he was dead. And people are killing themselves. And they're going, it's not true. It's not true.
I mean, it's sad.
It's comedy. Someone's got to get shot.
It's sad. It should, nobody.
It is sad.
The animals in a preserve, and
But it's illegal. It
But
was illegal.
whatever it is, it is. It's
You know,
just, there's other problems.
It's
It's-
insane.
Teddy Roosevelt
Yeah.
was a hunter. Teddy Roosevelt would
Yeah.
he'd probably be like excommunicated from this
Yeah.
country because he was one of those guys that went out bully and bag a walrus or something and stuff a walrus. There was guys like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I think back at it now, there was some PC way back. I'm going to go back to my escape days because I did so many of those shows. I used to do escapes and I'd run into my car and I'd drive into the city and do the improv. What a difference in audiences, man. What a difference. But I had this joke that I wrote that I thought was pretty funny. And I said, hey, don't forget that when you go home tonight, watch the new TV show. It's one of those setups, The new TV show about the family from, and I think I said Dix Hills, who solves crimes on Long Island. You won't want to miss the Hill Street Jews. Don't you think they get a letter to escapes where they have male burlesque, whip guys shoving their genitals in the girls' faces while the guy's trying to cut his steak, and then takes it like this. And what did he say? Hill Street Jews? Write a letter. I had to write her an apology letter, and I didn't want to lose the job because I needed the stage time and the money. Can you imagine? I'm going, why are you offended by the word? Was it the way I used it, or was it my miraculous little rhythm timing? What was it? Hill Street Jews. Never forget that, man. And I dropped that joke. I think I dropped it after that because the escapes guy, I said, you're running male burlesque, and this is what people choose to be offended at.
I find it just everybody. I'm offended that other people are getting so offended. Is really what it comes down to. It's like, how do you have so much time on your hands to be stopping to think about things to get offended about? Like, don't you have a life, a job, a family, anything else that you could be doing other than finding things to get upset about? I just don't. It's like, really, is it worth it? And then the people on Facebook on these threads that they go on, and they're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Who cares? Your Facebook thread is not going to make a difference. You're not starting some sort of support group. You're not in a support group. You're not trying to make the world a better place. You're on Facebook behind a computer screen doing nothing but bitching and moaning about something that you're not going to friggin' change.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Shut up.
Your
Piss me
conversation
off.
is just going to go into the
Piss me
netherworld.
off.
It's not going to even exist.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Tomorrow, everybody's going to go home, eat their cereal in the morning, go to work, and not care about what the hell you just said.
Yeah,
And
no,
wait
exactly.
for the next one. Wait
Yeah,
for the next
and that's the
thing.
next thing.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus twerking on
yeah.
TV. That became a major. Everybody was offended. Miley Cyrus twerked on TV.
Because she was a skinny white girl that didn't know how to do it. She didn't know how to twerk. She made it look awful, and that's why it worked for her. It looked terrible. She did not know what she was doing. She had stupid cones on her head, and people tell me I look like Miley Cyrus. So you know what? I don't even care. I don't know how to twerk, and I make it work for me. So me and you, Miley, we got it going on, bossa nova, girl. I don't care. She went out there and was like, I know I'm gonna look ridiculous, and you know what? People are gonna like it. Because she's a skinny white girl with no butt twerking. That's going to get attention.
Yeah.
Not every other girl that's got a big butt that's going to twerk. Who cares?
But that got
Let her do
attention.
what she wants.
But the fact that Japanese nuclear power plant was
Right.
leaking
Right.
thousands of gallons of radioactive waste into the ocean, nobody even wrote about. They
Well,
were like,
before
"Well, we
Miley
go-"
Cyrus actually went swimming in that ocean right before she learned how to twerk.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's where she got her moves from.
Yeah.
It's the 24-hour news cycle that is just amazing. When I was out in L.A., I used to watch the news, and it's amazing what they'd lead off with. They'd like, well, there's more war going on in Afghanistan, and fires are raging out of control. But first, this tragic story about Fran Drescher. Her and her husband are splitting up. That was the lead-off story. The other stories can wait. The Fran Drescher story, part 2.
Oh, God.
I want to come back on because I'm doing a song called "I'm Offended." I actually did one years ago in LA, and we are doing a video of it. And because I'm amazed that nobody's taken it on, but I'm going to take it on just for the fact that, like you said, who has the time to parse through all this stuff and find out what is it that's going to offend me here today? You know, like Achu, God bless you. What'd you say? God bless you. Don't push your God on me. Well, I'm not trying to push my God. Suppose I'm an atheist. Did it ever occur to you? All right. May your God, if you have one, may he bless you. Okay? Well, you wouldn't want to offend any of the new people, the newborn, the newborn. All right, may you were once lost and now you're found. May your God, who loves you, and may He bless you. He. Why is this gender thing? Suppose God's a woman. All right, your God, whether he or a she, who you were lost once and now you're found. May he, she, or it, because it could be a tree. Don't forget it. Don't be so hung up on God being a man or a woman, okay? Don't be so judgmental. And by the time you're done, you're like, and you go, how's
What are we
that?
even talking about? It's like,
Can you say it in Spanish now? Because a lot of people haven't, don't want to be said English, I was much better. We could say anything back then. They were making jokes, and it's wrong, but they were making jokes about drunken drivers then. Remember, like there was the stock line. Remember the stock line?
Yeah. Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, there's a man hit by a drunk every 15 minutes. Now, we don't know who this guy is yet. That was the joke. So, I saw a comic, I'm not going to say his name, he's from Long Island, very well known, do that joke every week. And so, one day, I was emceeing, I said, I'm going to take that joke. I didn't know anybody, I took the joke, and the guy comes up to me and goes, hey man, you can't take that joke, it's mine. I said, that's yours, really? He goes, well, it's not really mine, it's Jackie Mason's, but he told me I could use it. He sent somebody over to talk to me and go, so-and-so's pissed off that you used his line. I said, I didn't think it was his line. I thought it was just out there for everybody to use.
oh my God.
Hey, when you were desperate.
And I remember the don't drink and drive, you'll spill that stuff all over your shirt.
The other one, yeah.
And then Maurice, a black man, used to do the joke. He sometimes would close with the tissue in he had a bloody nose, and that was stuck a tissue into his nose and walked home, and that tissue saved his life because that's all people could see at night. But he could get away with it because,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in clubs now. I haven't played them in a while, but are people kind of backlashing against that PC stuff?
Some people are getting, I'm not in like clubs, but I see like the restaurant shows and people and whatnot that I do. You gotta be careful sometimes with certain things, and plus, most of the people that come to watch comedy right now on Long Island, and what I've seen, are a little bit older.
Okay.
So they're not.
That's offended.
They're not. You'd think they would be.
Yeah.
You think they would be like a little bit more relaxed because
Yeah.
they've been around everything already.
Yeah.
They're uptight too. It's tight. It's like some of the rooms are just tight sometimes, and you can't be too disgusting. You can't be too racial.
Right.
You
But
can't
where do you
be.
draw the line?
I was at Napper Tandy's. I have a joke that I do that says, I suck at doing laundry. I take it to my mother's house because she's got a really nice machine, and because she does it for me. I do the same things with my dirty dishes. I bring them to my father's restaurant because he's got really nice Mexicans, and they do them for me. And I was at Napper Tandy's, and I swung the door open of the kitchen because the stage was right by the kitchen. And I said, because they got really nice Mexicans, and they do them for me. And everybody in the audience started laughing. So I was like, all right, I got this. The guys in the kitchen, they didn't find it too funny, but, whatever.
When somebody actually translated it for them.
Yeah.
Well, PC is truth. PC is avoiding the truth.
Right.
Avoid the truth. If you don't have time to think,
I'm not a
go with
politician,
PC.
you know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not expecting to get anybody's votes. So I don't care.
You're trying to get laughs. I heard somebody criticize Amy Schumer for saying some of her jokes were politically insensitive. I'm saying to you they might have been, but what about a thousand other
Politically
people that
insensitive.
laughed?
Now she's standing next to whatever Schumer because of gun control.
Yeah, isn't that
And
horrible?
and that's you're talking about what's offensive.
Amy.
Come on. I'm sorry. I like Amy Schumer's
I do
comedy. I really
too.
do. But when it comes to when
Why
people
you
get
get
into
involved in that? Yeah,
politics
I
and
agree.
comedy, I don't agree with that.
No, I agree.
I don't think it goes together.
No, and if it does, then maybe you're Mort Saul or somebody like that years ago would come out.
Mort Saul would read the
And
paper.
he would do politics from the newspaper. He would actually sit there with the New York Times, and I think he would improv, or he had.
Yeah, I'm not
plans.
sure if he.
I don't know either, but
And Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
They went after Lenny Bruce and
Yeah.
practically burned him at a stake.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the stuff he said then, it was nowhere compared to the comics now.
No. I think comedy is a lot dirtier now than when I started out, and a lot more anything goes. And I think it's a backlash to this PC stuff. I think people are going, you know what? You're telling me like when I'm in classrooms and I'm in society, I have to address things. I can't say handicapped. People will look at me, I can't say handicapped. You know, you have to say physically challenged, which I don't have anything against that. But the word handicap.
It's on the parking street. It's on
Well,
the
that's
parking
the
street.
thing.
It's in the mirror.
Right, you can't. They're physically challenged until they come. You park in a handicap set.
But you said the
But I'm
word.
physically challenged. Get in a handicap set. Yes, that's. And I
the
tried to
word.
do that joke, and the audience was like,
It's insane.
"You
it
use
really
the word
is.
handicapped."
I heard that the city is getting darker because I talked to a couple of city comics, and this one girl who's been on the show, Camille Theobald, she emceed a show on Long Island. I took her to the train station. She said some of my jokes didn't go over well here on Long Island, where in the city I heard they like dark.
Yeah,
They're-
definitely.
They're into the darker now. I heard they're even saying to the comics, get darker.
I think Louis C.K.'s had a lot of effect on a lot of people. His conversational style and some of the stuff he does is raunchy. It's beyond raunchy, but it works for him. And I say, you know what? If that's the extreme, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're having a lot of fun, Jack. We're going to
Good.
take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and you're going to sing a song that you
Yes,
usually
I am.
you close your shows with now.
It's called "How Many More Mexicans Are We Gonna Have in This Damn Country?" I'm getting Mexicuted.
Hey! Did you write that?
Yes, I just did.
All
I
right.
just did.
I'm going to steal that tonight.
Oh God.
Mexicuted. I love
Mexicuted.
that. Mexicuted. Benny Bubonic and the Mexicution Five. I'm going to write, that's a comic book. Benny Bubonic and the Mexicution Five. All right, we're going to take a quick
You
break,
have to
and we'll be
Google it,
back with
'cause
Jackson.
probably some. Oh, go ahead.
And we're back on the Gagootz Show. Benny and I are going to say goodnight now. And thank you so much for watching. And we're going to have a little musical entertainment now by our guest, Jack Simmons. And thanks for watching the Gagootz Show. We'll see you next week.
See you
Enjoy.
next week, everyone. Have a great week.
That's right. Some people live in the city. Some people live in the mountains. Some people live in the tundra. But me, I live on an island. I live on a beautiful island. I live on Long Island. I live on an island most of my life. I have a car, 2 kids, and a wife. I'll probably be here for the rest of my life. I'm living on Long Island. When summer comes and winter falls, the island ladies go to shopping malls, take daddy's credit card, charge it all. They're living on an island. Oh, they're living on Long Island. And you know it's so much fun. I'm living on the island. I'm not hurting anyone. Hey, Anthony, can you get me a vodka? Is that your Camaro? That is so gorgeous. It's bumper to bumper on Friday night. Montauk, Hampton, sunshine bright. Then I'm sitting in traffic on Sunday night. I'm living on an island. I'm living on Long Island. And you know it's so much fun. I'm living on the island. I'm not hurting anyone. Let's live. I'm coming of age in old Bethpage, trying to get down in Levittown, jogging in the dark in Floral Park. I think I'll stay in Oyster Bay 'cause I'm living on an island. Yes, I'm living on Long Island. Well, I get my thrills out in Dix Hills, and the girls are pretty in Garden City. Got my 280Z on the LIE, waiting in vain for the train. I'm living on Fire Island. I'm in Nassau. I'm in Freeport. If I'm in Jamaica, on an island. So Wanaka, Ronkonkoma, somebody give me a harmonica. Hey, open your eyes and you may see coconut trees on the LIE. Once you do, then you'll be living on an island. Are you living on Long Island? Oh, you You know it's so much fun. You're living on the island. You're not hurting anyone. Living on a